శ్రీ ముత్తవరపు వెంకటేశ్వరరావు కాలేజ్ ఆఫ్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ అండ్ టెక్నాలజీ 2008 లో స్థాపించిన కళాశాలలో NBA, NAC A గ్రేడ్ మరియు ISO సర్టిఫికేషన్ సాధించిన మొట్టమొదటి కళాశాల శ్రీ ముత్తవరపు వెంకటేశ్వరరావు కాలేజ్ ఆఫ్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ అండ్ టెక్నాలజీ త్వరలో అటానమస్ కాబోతోంది.
2014లో ISO గుర్తింపు, 2015లో రాష్ట్ర ప్రభుత్వంచే A గ్రేడ్, 2016లో NAC A గ్రేడ్, ఇప్పుడు NBA సాధించిన సంస్థ శ్రీ ముత్తవరపు వెంకటేశ్వరరావు కాలేజ్ ఆఫ్ ఇంజనీరింగ్ అండ్ టెక్నాలజీ.
Voltages. So now in the earlier video of inverting and the non-inverting op-amp configuration, we have applied the single input either to the non-inverting or the inverting op-amp terminals. Now in this video, we will apply the multiple inputs either to the inverting or the non-inverting op-amp terminal, and we will see how this configuration can be used as a summing amplifier. So first we will see the inverting summing amplifier, and in this configuration we will apply the multiple inputs to the inverting input terminal. And we will find the expression of the output voltage in terms of the different input voltages. So as you can see here, we have applied the input voltages V1, V2 and V3 to this inverting terminal via resistor R1, R2 and R3. And here let us assume that current I1, I2 and I3 are flowing through this resistor R1, R2 and R3. And let us say the current IF is flowing through this resistor RF, and here we are assuming the op-amp as a ideal op-amp, so no current is going inside this op-amp. And let us consider this node as a node X. Now in the earlier video of inverting op-amp configuration, we have seen the concept of virtual ground, and in that concept we had seen that whenever we are applying the negative feedback to any op-amp, then there is a virtual short exists between the inverting and the non-inverting terminals. So if one terminal is at ground potential, then another terminal will also be at a ground potential, or we can say that it will act as a virtual ground. So this node will have a zero potential. So now let's apply a KCL at this node X. So applying KCL, we can write I1 plus I2 plus I3, that is equal to this current IF. Now as this terminal is at ground potential, so the current I1 will be equal to V1 minus 0 divided by R1. Likewise, this current I2 will be equal to V2 minus 0 divided by R2. And likewise, current I3 will be equal to V3 minus 0 divided by R3. Now this current IF will be equal to 0 minus Vout divided by this feedback resistor RF. That is 0 minus Vout divided by this feedback resistor RF. So if we simplify this expression, then we can write it as a V1 divided by R1 plus V2 divided by R2 plus V3 divided by R3, that is equal to minus Vout divided by RF. And if we further simplify it, then we can write it as a Vout, that is equal to minus RF divided by R1 times V1 plus RF divided by R2 times V2 plus RF divided by R3 times V3. Now we know that if we apply the single input to this non-inverting op-amp configuration, then the output voltage Vout can be given as minus RF divided by R1 times input voltage. Now here, instead of single input voltage, we have applied the multiple input voltages. So the output voltage will be equal to the algebraic sum of the individual responses. So this is the expression of the output voltage in case of the inverting summing amplifier. Now in this inverting summing amplifier configuration, let us assume that the value of R1, R2 and R3 is same. So in that case, the output voltage Vout will be equal to minus RF divided by R times V1 plus V2 plus V3. So now here, if value of RF is equal to R, then in that case our output voltage Vout will be equal to minus V1 plus V2 plus V3. So in this way we can use this op-amp as an adder, and we can add the multiple input voltages. So now suppose in this configuration, if R1, R2 and R3 are different, then in that case the ratio of this feedback resistor over these resistors R1, R2 and R3 will also be different. So in that case along with the addition we can also perform the scaling operation. So in that case our output voltage Vout will be equal to minus A times V1 plus B times V2 plus C times V3, where A, B and C represents the ratio of this RF divided by R1, RF divided by R2 and RF divided by R3. So along with the addition we can also perform the scaling operation. So along with this scaling and the addition operation we can also perform the averaging operation using this configuration. So now let us see how we can perform the averaging of the different input voltages using this configuration. So let us once again assume that the R1, R2 and R3 are having a same value, and let us say the ratio of this RF divided by R is equal to 1 divided by N, where N represents the number of input voltages that is being applied to this inverting terminal. So in that case our output voltage Vout will be equal to minus RF divided by R times V1 plus V2 plus V3, and if we put the value of this RF by R as 1 over N, that is equal to 1 over 3 in this case, then our output voltage will be equal to minus V1 plus V2 plus V3 divided by 3. So in this way our output voltage will be the average of the three different input voltages. So we can also perform the averaging operation using this configuration. So now let us see some more applications in which this inverting summing amplifier can be used. So as I already told you, this summing amplifier can be used for the operation of addition, averaging as well as the scaling. Apart from that, it can also be used to provide the DC offset to the input signals. So suppose if your input voltages are AC signals, or let us say it is coming from some sensor, and if you want to apply some DC offset, then using this configuration we can also apply some DC offset to the incoming signals. Likewise, this inverting summing amplifier can also be used for the digital to analog conversion, and apart from that it can also be used for the mixing the different audio signals. So these are the different applications in which this summing amplifier can be used. Now theoretically we can add the n number of input voltages to this op-amp configuration, but practically if you see, the number of input voltage depends upon the power dissipation as well as the total current that can be supplied by the op-amp. Because here if you see, the total current IF is the summation of the individual currents I1, I2, I3 up to IN. So this value should not exceed the maximum value that is supported by the op-amp. Now one more interesting fact about this inverting op-amp configuration is that all the individual voltage sources are isolated with respect to each other, and that is because of the concept of virtual ground. Because if you consider the individual voltage sources at a time, then at that time the remaining voltage sources will act as a short circuit. So if we consider this voltage source V1 that is acting alone, then at that time this voltage source V2 and V3 will be act as a short circuit, or we can say that they are at a ground potential. Now because of the virtual ground, this node is also at a ground potential. So we can say that effectively this R2 and R3 do not exist in the circuit. So the effective impedance that is seen by this voltage source V1 is the series resistance R1 of that particular voltage source. So we can say that there is a no interference between the different voltage sources, and that is the biggest advantage of this inverting summing amplifier. Now the output of this inverting summing amplifier is the negative voltage, but suppose if we want the positive voltage, then what we can do, we can connect one more inverting op-amp which is having a unity gain. So as you can see here, suppose if we connect one more inverting op-amp which is having a unity gain at this point, then the output voltage will be positive. So by using one more inverting op-amp we can get the positive output voltage. So this is all about the inverting summing amplifier. Now let us see what happens when we apply the multiple input voltages at the non-inverting input terminal. So now in this non-inverting summing amplifier, we have applied the two input voltages at this non-inverting end, and we will find the output voltage in terms of the input voltages V1 and V2. Now we know that in case of this non-inverting configuration, the output voltage is equal to 1 plus RF divided by RA times the voltage at this node. Let us say that is equal to V plus. So as we have applied the multiple input at this end. So first of all we need to find this voltage V plus, and we can do so by applying the principle of superposition. So what we will do, we will consider the one voltage source at a time and we will find the voltage at this node, and later on we will combine the individual responses to get the final response. So first of all, let us assume that this voltage source V1 is acting alone and we have removed this voltage source V2. That means V2 is equal to 0. So for that case, let us say the voltage at this point is equal to V1 plus. So V1 plus will be equal to R2 divided by R1 plus R2 times this voltage V1. Likewise, when we consider this voltage source V2 is acting alone and V1 is equal to 0, in that case the voltage at this point is, let's say, V2 plus. So V2 plus will be equal to R1 divided by R1 plus R2 times this voltage V2. So in this way, when this voltage source V1 and V2 are acting alone, then in that case the V1 plus will be equal to this value and V2 plus will be equal to this value. So the overall voltage V plus will be equal to the summation of individual voltages, that is V1 plus plus V2 plus, that is equal to R2 divided by R1 plus R2 times V1 plus R1 divided by R1 plus R2 times V2. So this will be the voltage at this end because of this voltage V1 and V2. Now we know that the output voltage is equal to 1 plus RF divided by RA times the voltage at this end, that is equal to V plus. So our final output voltage will be equal to 1 plus RF divided by RA times this R2 divided by R1 plus R2 times V1 plus R1 divided by R1 plus R2 times V2. So this will be the final voltage that we get at the output of this non-inverting summing amplifier. So now let us simplify this equation a bit and let us assume that this R1 is equal to R2 is equal to R. So when R1 is equal to R2 is equal to R, then in that case the output voltage Vout will be equal to 1 plus RF divided by RA times V1 plus V2 divided by 2. Now if we consider RF is equal to RA, then in that case the output voltage Vout will be equal to V1 plus V2. That is the addition of the voltage V1 and V2. So in this way, using this non-inverting summing amplifier also, we can perform the addition. Now let us take the case when we have three different input voltages that is connected to this non-inverting terminal. So as you can see here, we have three different input voltages V1, V2 and V3, which are connected to this non-inverting terminal via resistor R1, R2 and R3. So here also we will consider the one voltage source at a time and we will find the voltage at this non-inverting terminal, and later on we will add the individual responses to get the voltage at this non-inverting terminal. So first of all, let us assume that this voltage source V1 is acting alone and V2 and V3 is equal to 0. So in that case the circuit will look like this. So the voltage at this point, let us say, is equal to V1 plus. So V1 plus will be equal to R2 parallel R3 divided by R1 plus R2 parallel R3 times this voltage V1. So this is the voltage that you get at this point when this voltage source V1 is acting alone. Likewise, we can have a voltage V2 plus that is equal to R1 parallel R3 divided by this R2 plus R1 parallel R3 times this voltage V2. This is the expression when the voltage source V2 is acting alone. Likewise, we can have a V3 plus that is equal to R2 parallel R1 divided by R3 plus R2 parallel R1 times this voltage V3. So the total voltage that appears at this point will be the summation of these individual voltages. So as you can see here in this non-inverting configuration, as the number of input voltages are increasing, the complexity is also increasing. And to here reduce the complexity, let us assume that R1, R2 and R3 are equal. So when all the three values are same, then the value of V1 plus will be equal to V1 divided by 3. Likewise, the value of V2 plus will be equal to V2 divided by 3. Likewise, V3 plus will be equal to V3 divided by 3. So in short, when R1, R2 and R3 are equal, in that case, the V plus will be equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3 divided by 3. And the output voltage V out will be equal to 1 plus RF divided by RA times this V plus. Or we can say that 1 plus RF divided by RA times this V1 plus V2 plus V3 divided by 3. So now suppose if the value of 1 plus RF divided by RA, that is equal to 3, in that case the V out will be equal to V1 plus V2 plus V3. So as you can see here in this configuration, as the number of input voltage increases, the complexity is also increasing. And here the individual input voltage that appear at this point is not only depend upon the value of this V1 and R1, but it also depends upon the different series resistors of the individual voltage sources. Like here in this case, it also depends upon the value of this R2 and R3. So in this configuration, we can say that the individual voltage sources are not isolated with respect to each other, and they have their own influence on the input voltage that appears at this non-inverting terminal. So that is the reason in most of the practical applications, this inverting summing amplifier is more preferred over this non-inverting summing amplifier. So that is all about the inverting and the non-inverting summing amplifiers. So I hope in this video you understood about this inverting. We already know that this op-amp is differential amplifier, which amplifies the difference between the inverting and the non-inverting terminal. But whenever this op-amp is used in the open loop configuration, then the gain of this op-amp is quite high, and because of that your output will always be get saturated. And to avoid that, we always need to use this op-amp in a feedback circuit. So then we had seen this inverting and the non-inverting op-amp configuration, where we have applied the input either to the non-inverting or the inverting input terminal. So now let us see how by combining the inverting and the non-inverting op-amp configuration, we can design the differential amplifier. So by using this configuration, we can use this op-amp as a differential amplifier in a true sense, because here we can control the gain of the op-amp by controlling the value of this resistor R2 and R1. So let us see how this configuration will act as a differential amplifier. So now if you closely look this configuration, it is the combination of inverting and the non-inverting configuration. So if you consider this voltage source V1 alone and consider this voltage source V2 as 0, then it will be the inverting configuration. Similarly, if you consider only this voltage source V2 and if you consider this voltage source V1 as 0, then it will be the non-inverting configuration. So this configuration is the combination of inverting and the non-inverting configuration. So to get the final output, we need to use the superposition theorem. So what we will do, we will consider only one voltage source at a time, and we will consider the remaining voltage source as a 0. So first we will consider this voltage source V2 as 0, and we will assume that this voltage source V1 is acting alone. So let us say in this configuration, the output voltage is VO1. So this output voltage VO1 can be given as minus R2 divided by R1 times this voltage V1, as it is the inverting configuration, right? Similarly, let us say if voltage V1 is 0 and let us say this voltage V2 is acting alone, then in that case our output voltage, let's say VO2 will be equal to 1 plus R2 divided by R1 times this voltage source V2. So now if we consider this voltage source V1 and V2 acting simultaneously, then our output voltage V out will be equal to VO1 plus VO2, that is equal to minus R2 divided by R1 times this voltage V1 plus 1 plus R2 divided by R1 times this voltage source V2. So now if you observe here, the gain that is applied to both the input is different, and suppose if you want this output voltage V out as K times the difference between the two voltages, let's say that is equal to V2 minus V1, then we need to ensure that the gain that is applied to both the input is equal. So suppose in this case, if the gain that is applied to both the input is, let's say, that is equal to R2 divided by R1, then in a true sense we can use this configuration as a differential amplifier, where the output will be the difference between the two input voltages multiplied by the sum gain factor K. So now let us see how we can achieve this equal gain. So here in this second term, instead of this 1 plus R2 divided by R1, we required the term that is equal to R2 divided by R1. So somehow we need to arrange this term in such a way that we can get this term R2 divided by R1. So now we can write this term 1 plus R2 divided by R1 as R1 plus R2 divided by R1. And if we want this term R2 divided by R1, then we need to multiply this term by the factor of R2 divided by R1 plus R2. So here, to get this term, what we can do, instead of applying this voltage source V2 directly, we can apply this voltage source V2 by using the voltage divider. So let us see how we can achieve this term R2 divided by R1. So here what we have done now, we have applied this voltage source V2 using this voltage divider circuit. So now if you see at this point, then at this point let us say the voltage is V plus. So this voltage V plus will be equal to R2 divided by R1 plus R2 times this voltage V2, right? So our voltage V plus will be equal to this term. Now we know that the output voltage V out because of this voltage source V2 will be equal to 1 plus R2 divided by R1 times this voltage V plus. So now if we put this value of V plus, then we will get 1 plus R2 divided by R1 times R2 divided by R1 plus R2 times this voltage V2. So if we simplify it, then we will get the term R2 divided by R1 times this voltage V2. So now if you see, if we consider this voltage source V1 and V2 simultaneously, then our output V out will be equal to minus R2 divided by R1 times this voltage V1 plus R2 divided by R1 times this voltage source V2, or we can say that our output voltage will be equal to R2 divided by R1 times the difference between the voltage source V2 and V1. So now if you see this configuration, here the output voltage is the difference between the two input voltage multiplied by the factor of R2 divided by R1. So in this way, using this configuration, in a true sense, we can use this op-amp as a differential amplifier. So now let us see where this differential amplifier can be used. So apart from performing the mathematical operations, this differential amplifier can also be used along with the sensors. So let us say here we have a RTD and it is connected in a balance bridge circuit, and the output of the two arms of this balance bridge is connected as an input to the two ends of the differential amplifier. So here initially this bridge is balanced, but as the temperature changes, the value of this resistance R will change, and because of that the voltage that appears at the two input will also change. So when the bridge is balanced, then the input at the both ends of this differential amplifier will be equal, that is V1 equal to V2. But as the temperature changes, the value of this resistance R will change, and because of that the voltage that appears at this end will also change, and we can amplify the difference between the V1 and V2, and we can use this output to control the another circuitry. So let us say if we want to control the temperature of some room, then we can use this sensor along with this differential amplifier. So by triggering the another circuitry based on this output voltage, we can control the temperature of the room. So this is how this differential amplifier can be used along with the sensors. Now here the problem with this differential amplifier is that the input impedance of this differential amplifier is very low, and it depends upon the value of this R1 and the R2. So if you see in this configuration, the input impedance that is seen through this end will be equal to R1, while at this end if you see, the input impedance is equal to R1 plus R2. Or in general term, let's say if you are applying the input voltage between the two ends, then in this case the input impedance Zin will be equal to 2 times R1. So as you can see here, the input impedance of this differential amplifier is very low, and because of that it is quite possible that your source might get loaded. So one way we can avoid this by using the buffers before the input voltages. So as you can see here, before applying this voltage V1, suppose if we use the buffer, then the input impedance of this buffer is very high, and in this way we can avoid the loading of this source voltages. But in most of the practical cases where you are dealing with the very small input voltages which is coming from the sensors, in such cases instead of this differential amplifier, the instrumentation amplifier is used, and we will talk more about this instrumentation amplifier in a separate video. So this instrumentation amplifier is a very high gain differential amplifier, and the main advantage of this instrumentation amplifier is that it is having a very high input impedance. So that is particularly useful when we are dealing with the sensors. But in our general applications, we can use this differential amplifier along with this buffers. So that is being said, now let us see some examples based on this differential amplifier. So here we have one differential amplifier, and we need to find the output voltage of this differential amplifier. And here assume that the biasing voltages which is being applied to this op amp is plus 15 and minus 15 volt. So here to find the output voltage, what we will do, we will consider one voltage source at a time. So first let us assume that this 2 volt voltage source is acting alone. So if we consider this 2 volt voltage source acting alone, then in that case let us say output voltage is VO1, and that will be equal to minus 5 divided by 1 times this 2 volt, and that will come out as a minus 10 volt. Similarly, if we assume that this 3 volt voltage source is acting alone and this 2 volt voltage source is equal to 0, then in that case our output voltage, let's say VO2, will be equal to 1 plus 5 divided by 1 times this voltage V plus, and here this voltage V plus is equal to 8 divided by 8 plus 1 times this input voltage, that is equal to 3 volt. So our output voltage VO2 will be equal to 16 volt. So now if we combine these two input voltages and assume that these two input voltages are acting simultaneously, then in that case our output voltage Vout will be equal to VO1 plus VO2. So our output voltage will be equal to 16 minus 10, that is equal to 6 volt. So this is very simple and the basic example based on this differential amplifier. Now here you also need to consider the biasing voltage that is being applied to the differential amplifier. So let us take one more example and we will see how this biasing voltage can affect your output. So if you see this example, this is very similar to the previous example, but here in this case let us assume that our bias voltage is plus 12 volt and minus 12 volt, and we want to find the output voltage. So here once again what we will do, we will assume only one voltage source is acting at a time and we will find the output voltage, and then we will combine the individual responses. So let us say output voltage VO1 is the output voltage when this 2 volt voltage source is acting alone. So our output voltage will be equal to minus 5 divided by 1 times this 2 volt voltage source. So that will come out again as a minus 10 volt. And now let us assume this 5 volt voltage source is acting alone. So in that case our output voltage VO2 will be equal to 1 plus this 5 divided by 1 times this voltage V plus. That will be equal to 6 times V plus. Now this voltage V plus will be equal to voltage divider that is applied at this point. So it will be equal to 4 divided by 4 plus 1 times this 5 volt input voltage, and it will come out as a 24 volt. So our output voltage VO2 will be equal to 24 volt. So now in this case if you see, our total output voltage Vout will be equal to VO1 plus VO2, and if you see it will come out as a 24 minus 10, that is equal to 14 volt. But in this example we have applied the plus minus 12 volt. So our output voltage cannot go beyond this plus minus 12 volt, right? So our output voltage will be get saturated at the 12 volt. So apart from the input voltages, you also need to consider the biasing voltages which is being applied to this op-amp. So that is being said, now let us see the third example, and this example is for your exercise. So here instead of single input voltages, we have applied the multiple input voltages at the inverting and the non-inverting terminal, and we need to find the output voltage of this configuration. And here once again assume that the biasing voltages for this circuit is plus 15 and minus 15 volt. So try to solve this example by yourself and do let me know your answer in the